following program was produced by an independent community producer. The opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect those of the ECAT staff or board of directors.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Topic Time with Harrison Young. Oh, sorry about that. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Topic Time with Harrison Young. We are moving right through the month of February. It's February 8th already. We're going to have a really warm stretch of weather coming up, and we already have one outside. It's getting pretty mild out. I'm looking forward to the weekend. But, of course, we have another great guest for Topic Time tonight, another Zoom show. We're going to right up to the coastline of Newburyport here in Massachusetts. I have an actor. His name is Vincent. We're going to talk to him and look at a little clip of his work. But before we get to him, got to read these incredible underwriters, and then we will commence per usual. So we have Uplifted Nutrition in Taunton. We have Diesel Plus Unlimited in Whitman, Diesel Plus Unlimited in Whitman. We have Comfort Upholstery in East Bridgewater. We have Advanced Auto Performance in Brockton. We have Eli's Auto Care in Taunton. We have Nature Bound Garden Landscaping. I don't know where they're at, but they're on call all the time. We have Lynch's Towing, Auto, Cycle, and Truck Center in Brockton. One number for towing, one number for projects. My pal Lynch is always looking for transportation, scrap metal, wheels, anything to do with it. He handles it all in Brockton. We have Tom Auto in Middleborough. We have One Good Credit in Brockton. We have Rod Smoke Barbecue and Pizza in Brockton. We have McGee Annex in Rockland. Don't get used cars, don't get abused. Shop Kevin McGee Used. For a story, go to the library. For real wholesale prices, call Kevin McGee. We have a new one, Myers Convenience Store in Brockton. We have Personal Best Karate in Southeastern. We have Doggy Boutique, all-breed professional grooming for dogs and cats, run by my great next-door neighbor, Debbie Siddell in Brockton. We have the Gun Runner LLC, the Second Amendment Freedom Store in Middleborough. We have Easton Fitness in the Village Shops in Northeastern. We have Grant's Rental in Bridgewater. We have R.W. Carpet and Flooring in Norton, covering floors for 50 years. We have the Rug Resort in Northeastern, cleaning today for healthier tomorrow. And we have Joe's Diner in Taunton. And I want to thank you guys very much. Now, officially, I will introduce, it's David L. Vincent. Is that it?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, and you're an actor. You definitely look Shakespearean, to say the least. You look like you've done a lot of you look like you're a man of many roles, of much diversity on possibly the screen and maybe Broadway as well. Is that true?
Well, all but Broadway, yeah. But I do film and I do stage work. Harrison.
Okay. Are you just an actor, or have you worked behind the scenes as well? I thought I saw a producer in there on your Facebook page, but you tell me.
Yeah, just one or two, and that was a while ago. I really just prefer to be the talent on stage or in front of the screen, the camera.
Yeah, same here. I agree with you. I know how much fun that is. All right. Well, tell me about your, you got a rich history. Tell me about your childhood. I ask everybody about that. Tell me how it kind of led to where you're at now. What did you aspire to? And we'll break that down and work our way to the present and then the future. So go for that, please, if you would.
Okay. Well, I'm a child of the Midwest. I was born in Indiana.
Okay.
But my family comes from Lowell and Concord, New Hampshire.
Okay.
But that's only briefly, because then they came from Canada and Nova Scotia.
Well, who are you talking about? Your family members?
Say that again.
Are you talking about your family being from all those places?
Yeah.
Okay.
Our family the Vincent family goes back to 1656 in Nova Scotia.
Okay. I was there 51 years ago. Okay. Interesting. All right. Yeah. So you got some Canadian blood too in you. That's interesting. All right. So where did you spend the time, most of the time in your childhood? What area? What part of the country, or what country?
I grew up in a small town in Indiana.
Okay. Wouldn't be Gary, would it?
Can you hum a few bars?
Gary, Indiana, Gary, Indiana. That's all I know, but that's
all I know.
Well, I know that Michael Jackson was from there too, and his family.
Yeah. So, well, let's see. We got Kurt Vonnegut, Red Skelton,
really?
Florence Henderson, James Woodcomb. Hey, Larry Bird's from Indiana.
Okay. I thought Vonnegut was from the Cape. Well, eventually he was. He moved to the Cape, and after he wrote Slaughterhouse-Five, he was living on the Cape. I know that because I wrote him a letter in Barnstable, Mass. back in 1979, and he never answered it. But But he was one of my favorite authors, no question about it. He was an icon.
Yeah, so he's a Hoosier.
Yeah, yeah, okay. I see what you're saying. All right. So how did you get your start in acting? How old were you, and what did it entail, basically?
So I think the first show I was in, I must have been like 15, 14, 15.
Okay.
It was a community theater in the small town I was growing up in.
Okay.
Did one show while I was in high school. Did one show in my 20s, one show in my 30s. About every decade I did one show
Okay.
until I retired.
Okay. Retired from what? Acting?
Until I retired from working full time. I moved from Concord, New Hampshire to Peaks Island, Maine,
Okay.
Casco in the middle of Casco Bay outside Portland.
Right.
Got a show there, and it was just a matter of following breadcrumbs that led me into the theater and on film.
Okay. Well, did you act? Did you do acting out there in Maine when you were living there?
Definitely.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, all right, how long ago did you retire from your full-time job and then decided to just do acting? I assume now it's been a while now, right?
It's been a while. Yeah, I retired in 2011, so
Wow. Yeah. So for 12 years, 13 years.
13 years ago. Had no idea what I wanted to do, Harrison. So there was a casting call for a community theater show on the island, and I thought I'd toss my hat in the ring. And
Okay.
one thing led to another, and here I am.
Well, what was
10
the
years.
show? What was the show and what was your role in it?
Oh, it's a show that was written by a Mainer
Okay.
named John Cariani,
Okay.
and the name of the show is Almost Maine.
Okay. So I assume it was about people living in Maine, right?
Right. So it's a set of 6 different short vignettes.
Oh.
Each one's about 6, 7, 8 minutes a piece. So I was in 2 of those vignettes, and that got me going.
Okay. Well, these were films, right? Or was this stage stuff?
This is the stage work.
Okay. And what did you play in these vignettes? What were you? What was your role?
I all the vignettes have just 2 people, and so it's a man and a woman typically. So it was myself and my wife in one, and myself and my wife in another one.
Your real wife or just your pretend wife?
My stage wife, yes.
Okay. All right. Well, could you go? Was it basically? I mean, you can elaborate further if you want to. It's up to you. I am curious. What did you do exactly? Or is it okay to talk about it or not?
Well, I think it's more interesting to talk about
Then talk
what
about it,
happened,
please.
because you retire and you have no idea often what you're going to do with the
Right.
rest of your life, which is a good reason a lot of people wouldn't want to retire.
Exactly.
They don't
Well,
have
I don't
any.
want to retire.
So I had no idea what I was going to do, but I got a role in that show, and then I found out there's an actors studio in Portland.
Okay.
So I started taking classes, and I got into my second show, my third show. So here I am 8 years later, and I've done 40 films and maybe 30 different stage shows.
Wow. Okay. So now were these all in New England, or did you go, or were they scattered further and wider than that, like maybe other parts of the United States or Canada? Where did you? I mean, or you tell me.
Well, I was living on an island in Maine, right?
Yep. What did you say?
So
What island? Sail Island or whatever it's called?
Peaks
Peach
Island.
Island. Okay.
Yeah, great place. It's a destination if you want to have a wedding.
Okay. Well, I don't know if that's in the cards for me, but if it is, I'll keep it in mind.
So I did the first, 5 or 6 months of shows living on Peaks.
Okay.
But there's not a lot of film work in Maine. I did some commercials in Maine, a couple feature films, short films, but I moved to Newburyport because then I could find work in Boston, Providence, New York.
Right. You don't have to travel that far.
Yeah. to just get from the island to Portland
I know.
takes half an hour.
It's a hub. Yeah,
So
I'm sure.
I can be in Boston in half an hour.
Sure you can. I know. And there's plenty of stuff down here. But you've never been out to LA, have you, to work out there or New York?
Well,
Oh,
okay.
I think you
It
mentioned New
depends on
York,
what
though.
your ambition is.
Yeah?
So I'm with a lot of young actors, young filmmakers, and that is their aspiration to make a career. To go to New York, go to LA.
Right.
That's not my aspiration at all.
Okay.
I like just being busy. I like working,
Yes,
and there's
exactly.
plenty of work to do in New England.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like you've been, have you ever written anything?
I'm working on something right now. I have a project, but I've learned that it's a totally different skill set, and my strength is in being the talent in front of the camera or on stage.
I understand.
Writing is a different kettle of fish.
It is. It is. Do you have any? Have you? All right. That having been said, and being that you've been in so many projects, are the people? I mean, looking at you, I can almost sense that a script writer would look at you and think, I can think of so many roles for this guy. Let me just let me sleep on it and figure out what I can do. Has anyone ever done that with you before? Any writers that you're aware that you have? I mean, you've ever collaborated with any writers on a project? Will you being the actor? I'm saying that's what I'm asking.
Now, the closest I get to collaboration would be I'm in someone's film,
Okay.
and then 6 months, a year, 2 years later, they contact me again and say, I have another project. Are you interested? Are you free?
Okay.
So
I'm seeing a resemblance to Edward G. Robinson right there. Like I knew there was somebody. I mean, that's just one of them, but that just comes to mind right now. You know who he was, obviously, right?
yeah, that dates both of us.
Well, I know exactly. I mean, his last film was 51 years ago, Soylent Green in 1973. Have you?
But I would rather think of myself as being, I often am either a mobster, a
Okay.
professor, a lawyer, a judge,
I can see all those things for
or
you.
a grandparent.
Okay. Yeah, that's possible. Have you ever been in, I don't know why, but I can also see you in a sci-fi film. You ever done a sci-fi film? And if so, can you tell me about it? I just sort of see that.
Well, one of the beauties of doing student work, and there's so many
I know a lot of, I've
colleges,
done that too, doing
universities,
films. Yep.
right, that have film programs.
Yep.
So yes, I've been in several.
Okay.
Some of those student projects are really good.
Have you ever,
Some of them they're learning experiences.
yeah. Have you ever done an Emerson film? As long as you're mentioning that.
Yeah, several.
Have you? Okay, yeah, I figured as much. Now that you mentioned student, as soon as you mentioned student films, I thought of Emerson because I did one back about 10 years ago. But I played an old man carving up a teddy bear, and obviously the guys that produced the film thought I could pull it off. I never saw the film. They did it. They produced it and got a grade on it, and I never even got to see it. So that's probably the last time I'm acting in an Emerson film. But I'm sure you were great in those films, whatever you did. How many did you say you did? A bunch of them.
Yeah, well, Harrison, you were lucky that you were carving the bear up and the bear wasn't carving you up.
Oh, I know, and I'm glad it was. And I would never have done it if it was, I mean, to be honest with you, I love animals, and I'm a vegan, and the idea of animal cruelty, even as a joke, isn't really funny. But I mean, I wasn't really hurting anybody. I figured, this could be a big opportunity for me, and it really wasn't much at all. But it was an experience. And the fact that they thought of me, and I thought I looked old enough to be like a crazy old man, I suppose didn't bother me too much. On the other hand, I probably could have, but I said, okay, this is the role I've gotten. I've driven 20 miles to Hyde Park to do this, and these guys are from different parts of the country. Let's see if I can incorporate myself into their program and and work my way from there. But topic time is my thing, and films are I've had people on my show that are filmmakers, and they've given me extra roles in their films as a reward kind of for that. But that was a long time ago. Since I started,
Yeah.
since 2014. All right, what are you currently working on then? Tell me that.
Let's see. Currently, there's a play that's a spoof on the whole Harry Potter series of
Okay.
films and books. It's called Puffs, and so that's the Saugus Community Theater. There's another playwright who's working on his production, so I'm going to be at the Boston Center for the Arts to do a reading of his work. I would like to be. I like to do Shakespeare, especially in the summertime when you
Oh,
can do it out of doors. So
okay.
uh, I've got an audition out to do Shakespeare. I've got an audition coming up on Saturday for Summer Theater where they're not doing a musical. I've been in a couple of musicals, and singing is not my forte. But that would be a play called Proof.
Okay.
So yeah, I've got many irons in the fire at the moment. And then of course you take classes every week, it's like going to the gym
Okay.
and working out every week.
Okay. Well, guess what? We're about halfway through the show. Right now, we're going to watch a little clip of David's work, and then we're going to talk about it. So stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Where are you going?
Meet with a friend.
Thought you were here on business.
I am.
Well, don't mix pleasure with business, Missy. Important life lesson. Hey, can I ask you a question? What's so great about the city? Is there that much more to do?
I don't know, man.
Huh? Funny world. What's your name again?
Jack Thompson.
You're a driver.
I'm a friend of Jamie's. She's busy at work today. She asked me to come check on you.
You look skinnier than the last time I saw you. You should take care of yourself. Jamie talked to you about my lungs and brain. I had more hair the last time you visited me. I could have done lots of things. I could have gone lots of places. But after Laura passed, I had to take this place over. She really cared about this place. I could see it in her eyes every night. She never was tired, no matter how difficult the day or the problems. She loved what she was doing. It's all that mattered to her.
Oh, David, that was beautiful. Tell me what we just watched.
Oh, well, thanks. I have to apologize. The clips from half a dozen short films is a couple of years old. I'm so busy working that I haven't bothered to have a new reel that would incorporate my latest work. So there you get just a variety of voices that I'm in, a variety of characters that I play, and the kinds of scenes that I'm in. Lately, frankly, I think my work just gets better and better.
Of course.
So
That's where it should
someday
be.
soon, I'll have to send you a revised reel.
Okay, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Okay. All right. So how often do you do acting? Like, say, how many times a week do you? I know you say you take classes regularly. Where are you? Are you taking a class currently? And if so, where?
Yeah, there's an actor who lives in New Orleans,
Okay.
and he when he was filming in New York, he's in New York right now working. But there's a series, HBO, I think, Righteous Gemstones,
Okay.
and James has a regular role on that show. So originally 5 or 6 years ago, whenever he's in the area, we'd meet in Boston, 5 or 6 people. We'd all film our scenes. He'd then give us notes and we'd watch each other's work. Now, pandemic, everything's by Zoom,
All
as
right.
is this conversation.
Absolutely.
So, so I'm working with James out of New Orleans, take class every week with that. And then the other thing that changed, of course, with pandemic is you couldn't audition in person.
Right.
So they started asking actors to tape themselves. So you'd send in a 60-second, 90-second self tape of sides that they sent for the character you're auditioning for. So yeah, now I'm looking at casting calls and I'm making 3 or 4 self tapes every week. So before you even get a part, you're putting a lot of hours in.
That's incredible. Okay. When you say you make self-tapes, now are you skilled at editing your work as you are? I know you said you prefer to be in front of the camera, but it sounds to me, do you do that all by yourself or do people help you? And if so, tell me about that.
Yeah, no, you do it by yourself.
Okay.
Well, but almost all the sides are dialogue, so you need one other person to read the lines off
Okay.
camera and
Right.
feed you the lines.
Yep.
But you can self tape yourself. You just need some professional lights, maybe a couple of large ones, and a backlight, backdrop, 3 or 4 tripods. A cell phone will work. Their cameras are excellent.
Yeah.
And as far as editing, you mentioned editing. It's minimal. You just do a little bit at the beginning to make sure you got the start is right on the dot, and a little bit at the end, so you end without anything extra. And you tape yourself maybe 5, 10, 15 times until you get it the way you like it, and you send it in.
Right. Okay. And then exactly. And then you just keep doing it and don't worry about what's going to happen next. It's because you can't, because you keep throwing them out there and eventually it's going to stick to something. I guess that's kind of how it's worked for you, right?
Well, James, my coach, said once, and this really stuck in my head, is very helpful, is whenever you're like, I went to an audition on Sunday evening after rehearsing Sunday afternoon, or I'll submit a self tape in for a role. You are never rejected.
Excellent. Okay.
You're just not selected, and you don't have any idea why. You know, they may be looking for somebody who's an inch higher, 10 pounds lighter. You have no clue. So you do the best work you can. And the benefit is that day you got to act.
Exactly. Now, do you have your resume and your headshot at Boston, at some of the casting companies like Boston Casting, CP, any of those?
Yes. Boston Casting, CP, Slate. Yep.
Slate, right. Have they
But
called you for
frankly, I
anything?
find most of my work comes from my own efforts, going to Actors Access website,
Okay.
to
Okay.
Backstage website, Your Theater for. So there's half a dozen websites that actors would go to, depending on whether you're interested in musicals, straight stage work, or film work.
Okay. Have you ever done anything like, speaking of musicals, have you, I mean, have you ever been musically inclined? Have you ever done anything in music, art, sports, in addition of acting when you were growing up as well?
Another piece of advice I got very early on from a teacher was, she said that you should always be in class. You should be in movement class, or dialect class, or acting class. So I did, never sang in a choir, never sang at all. So I took 4 years of voice lessons and was in a couple of musicals, and discovered, one, I don't like the experience of
Right.
being in a musical, and two, my voice is a bass 2. I go from D2 to D4, just D right above middle C.
Okay.
And musicals are cast for male voices that are bass baritones. I need to get up to G, and I'd have to go into falsetto to get to G.
Well, I could actually see you in an opera though, singing something like, or even in a commercial like for that J.G. Wentworth company. Where you say you want your money, you get it now. I could see you like, playing maybe King Henry VIII or something, one of those deals. You definitely have that look. Have you ever done that, King Henry VIII? You'd be a perfect Henry VIII. Or I can't. I was looking. I'm gonna think that's a role that would be perfect for you.
Okay, I'll keep that in mind.
Yeah. All right. So how many people do you have working with you currently on your films? I mean, in terms of like actors and people, and also people behind the scenes as well.
Well, okay, once you've started working frequently in the Boston area, you work with basically the same people. You
Oh yeah.
meet people over and over and over again. So do I'm a self-employed sole proprietor. Any money I earn, is mine. I have no company, no production company. I just plug into other people's, they do the business side, they do the casting. I just show up and do my thing as an actor.
Okay, that's fine. And that's
So a lot you end up belonging to a tribe of actors
right.
in the Boston area.
Okay, that's all. That's perfect. I mean, so you basically you're incorporated with the same people, and you're perfectly happy with it, and it's helpful because you all know each other. There's no everybody, there's no friction. Well, I'm sure there's friction sometimes when people you want to do you maybe sometimes if you get a lot of takes and it's not coming out the way you want it, then sometimes I can imagine there might be some friction, but other than that, you all respect each other and you're perfectly happy to work together consistently, right?
Well, with the first of all, two things. One, you have a lot more in common with people that you have absolutely nothing in common with, except that somehow you all found your way to acting.
Okay, I agree with that.
So maybe you're all graduates of some college or you're all from some state, but those are huge groups, alumni groups that you have very little in common with. But actors, you know the deal,
Right.
and you have something in common. So yeah, that's for me a big attraction is to be with people that I immediately get along with. Now,
Good.
in terms of not getting along, Harrison,
Yeah.
it's more the generational differences,
Yeah,
right?
I can see that.
So I'm a baby boomer,
Me
and
too.
if I'm ever with Gen Zs, I got to watch my vocabulary. I got to watch, the jokes I tell.
Yeah, but
It's a whole different set
Gen
of
Zs are
standards.
far out as far outgoing as you can get. I don't think they have no scruples at all. It's we baby boomers that we're inundated with scruples growing up. With the Gen Zs, we're pretty much free and clear to do what they want. That's been my experience with Gen Zs. But that's me. Maybe I don't. Maybe it's just a few Gen Zs that I've been with that have that's sort of like free flowing and I felt comfortable with them because I've had a lot of them as guests on my show as well. And some of them are in acting and doing other things, modeling, music, whatever. So, okay, I understand what you mean, though, definitely.
But
Generational differences, I know.
but where else, and the beauty of acting is one, I'm working all the time, right?
Right.
If I'm not auditioning, I'm looking for casting calls. If I'm not looking for casting calls, I have lines to memorize for the show I'm in. So you're always working. Most of it's,
Yep.
uh, by yourself. And you get a chance to be with a wide variety of people, from Gen Zs. Where else would I be able to work with a troupe of Gen Zs intensely over a course of 6 or 8 weeks on a specific project? We bring it from the very beginning to the middle, work real hard in rehearsal, and then we produce it for an audience for, 3, 6, 9, 12 performances. So it's a great opportunity if you really want to get outside of your Barca lounger as an adult and out into the community and be with young people.
Exactly. And guess what? On that note, we're in the final 4 minutes of the show. I hope you had fun talking to me.
Always.
Always. Okay. So in the last few minutes, what I want you to do is give shouts out to some people that are going to see the show because we're going to share it with quite a few people. And then we're going to wrap the show up with my snap and the way we began it. So go ahead, please, if you would.
Oh, shout out
Yeah,
too.
shout outs, yes.
Okay, well, anybody who takes the on-camera workshop, the Actors Gym from the Boston, and there's probably maybe 50 people on that mailing list. Shout out to those members of that tribe. Shout out to all the cast and crew that are putting on puffs at the Saugus Theater in the last 2 weekends of April. And then shout out to the Boston Community Theater, Contemporary Theater, and that crew. A lot of good actors, a lot of good film work being done. I have a terrible memory. So
It's
don't
okay.
ask me
That's-
what your name is when I run into you on the street.
Well, I'm sure they all appreciate you. Okay. If you know anybody, if you had a good time with me, and you know anybody, any of these people that you work with that you think might be good guests for my show, you got my digits. Have them text me, call me. We'll get them on, and it'll be awesome. I get a lot of guests now from word of mouth more than ever before.
All right.
And you did a wonderful job. And a couple of things. When we finish the show, will you stick around? Let my tech guy take a pic of us, and I'll tag you on Facebook.
Bingo.
Okay. Is there anything coming up on the horizon real quick that you want to mention that you might have overlooked? I always ask every guest that just to make sure that we cover everything.
No, I'm all set.
You're all set. All right. On that note, then we're going to wrap the show up. Thanks for watching Topic Time. More great episodes to follow. Take care. Signing off and rolling out. This time I'll hit the stop button instead of the make button at the end. Or the back button, right.